Alright people, I know some say this rifle right here is the garbage rod. And I totally get it, alright? Sometimes the bolt sticks. It's all about how you operate the action. Or how you deal with the girl. That's how you'll get the results, baby. This I can deal with. This is fine. This is okay. This, however, I have to tell people, this is the real garbage rod of bolt actions. And I will get into that here in a moment. So this right here is the Remington 770. Now, as you all know, they kind of went bankrupt in 2020 and got sold off, and this has nothing to do with the new owners of Remington. This is old Remington, Freedom Group Remington, so bear with me. So, why is this a garbage rifle over this? Well, let's go for starters. This actually shoots just fine, and it hasn't had any parts breakages from me shooting it. And I've shot this just about as much as I've shot that. Now, you might ask, well, what's the problem? Why are you calling that nice looking rifle a garbage rod? Well, I'll tell you what. All right. For starters, to show this beautiful American manufacturing. You see this little lever here? That's our bolt release, so I can pull the bolt out. This is held in by the stock. This is not held in with anything except for this plastic stock. So it's very loose, it's very wobbly. I mean, I actually for note I had to replace this because it galled to the point where I could pull the bolt up and just dump the bolt out the back because that bolt stop was deforming. So I had to buy a new one. And of course this new one, which is also a Remington factory part, is galling as well. So when I pull the bolt to the back, it would just override it and come right out the back of the gun. So beautiful manufacturing right there. The second thing we're going to talk about here are these magazines. And yes, it's a button box, it's a metal box magazine, big whoop. As you can see right there, that tab looks a little bent up. Well, when I went to disassemble this and clean out all the crap, because where I go hunting around Virginia, there's a lot of tree junk and crap that gets all over the gun. So I'm like, all right, I'll clean out the magazine. It felt kind of gritty. And you know, they advertise it as such. You know, you push in that tab, and you're able to pull this base plate off. Well, it bent the base plate. I'm not kidding either. Did as they told in the instructions, and yeah, it foobarred that tab. So they obviously didn't make this out of anything good. No spring steel, no nothing. So oh, another little quirk of this is you can't just push the magazine in, you kind of got to rock it in. So back against the trigger guard and then push this end in. It's kind of a weird reload. You know, you got to push that down first and then this. So yeah, see, you got to push this in first, not here. All right. So what else makes this a garbage rod? Well, we'll get to that here in a minute. Here's our bolt. As you can tell, it is polished. I did that. Do you know why I polished it? Because of this little bull crap right here. That plastic. Yeah, this is a plastic insert. And so every time you lift up this bolt and pull it back, that plastic flexes and pinches the bolt and would stop the bolt from you pulling it. Now, some people just oil the crap out of it so it goes. Me, That to me is a problem. I don't want to have to oil the crap out of a bolt action just to get it to work. I mean, for God's sake, it's a bolt action. It's one of the simplest firearms right now. I mean, it's obsolete compared to most semi-automatics. So I had to polish the bolt and then oil it, and now it works fine. So we got that. Let's see, what else? Before I polished it, it was closing on a no-go gauge, and it had less than 100 rounds through it. That to me is unacceptable. Took it to the Remington guys. They're like, yeah, we'll check it out, see how things are going. It's basically a gun shop that had, you know, Remington's good graces. And I go back there, pick up the gun, and they're like, oh yeah, well, it didn't close on a field gauge, so it's good. That's a problem to me. See, this is a brand new firearm relatively compared to that, okay? Yes, this thing, it's, wait, when did my dad pick this up for me? So this was a hunting rifle he bought for me to use while we would go hunting. So technically his rifle, he bought it so he could let me use it while we hunted. Jabron 243. So about 2012, 2014, somewhere around in there. Not an old gun. All right, this is a 1943 Ishvesk manufactured Mosin, middle of World War II. All right, I was getting more accurate. Here's another thing. I was getting more accurate groups out of that than this from the factory. This, I was having wide groups. The thing I will give that gun shop is they did chamfer the crown, as you can see right there. So they cleaned it up right there. That way it helped improve the accuracy, and it did. It groups a lot better than it used to. I'm getting about 1.5 to 2 inches out at 100 yards, which is phenomenal for a hunting rifle anyway. And that's all that is. That's all that is going to do. That is all it will be doing, is shooting out to 100 yards. So yeah, that thing's the real garbage rod. This, I've had to take it apart, I've had to fix stuff on it, I've had to do all sorts of crap to it. It's just had all sorts of problems. And then other things I've seen online too is because they have your sling swivels molded into the stock. I've seen those where people are saying those have busted off. So very, very, it's an inexpensive gun. I would let the sling swivel thing go, because you can mount your own into the stock with some work. Big deal, big whoop. I want the gun to work. This thing, it just didn't work. Oh, and I forgot to also mention, this was it was advertised as buy it, shoot it. Basically, pull it out of the box. It came with a scope, and it was a scope from Remington. It wasn't Vortex like I got on there right now. It was some scope that Remington had acquired, and it didn't have any brand name on it. No, those scopes that came with that, it had the worst eye relief I've ever seen. I don't know how many times, like I had to get my eye real close to the back here of this optic to really clearly see, and then I get smacked in the eye with it. So we go shooting with that a bunch of times. All right, this thing's already inaccurate, and then on top of that, the scope was broken. I had never dropped it, never nothing. We had all that other work done to it, went out to shoot it with the other scope, and I tried to adjust it. Scope was broken. That scope does not have a single ding on it, that Remington scope. So I pulled that off, tossed it, got some Vortex rings, Vortex scope, put it on there. Now it's all hunky-dory. But the amount of trouble I have gone through with this cheap firearm compared to this old beast, this is nothing. So I don't know what y'all are saying about garbage rods, but that's the real one right there.